How's it going, guys? My name is Luis, and this is the Azulle Access Plus, a fanless computer in the small form factor of a computer stick. Azulle was kind enough to send me this one in order to make a video on it. Now, these portable computer sticks are usually advertised for things like on-the-go word processing, media streaming, and quick access to a desktop internet browser. The Azulle Access Plus is no different. You're able to stream 1080p 60 content to it just fine. You can even display it up to 4K technically at 30Hz, though I don't know why you would want to on a small computer like this unless you like really sharp fonts on your web browser. Now that's all great, but this is a video game channel. I wouldn't be making a video on this unless I was interested to see how well it games. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's see how useful this thing can be in terms of video games. Well, because it's a small fanless computer, I didn't expect to play modern PC games on this thing. That shouldn't be a surprise, but you can still get a good amount of cool games on here for the hardware specs it offers. Every Azulle Access Plus computer comes with the computer itself, an AC adapter, and an HDMI extender in case your monitor is one that has the HDMI port right behind it rather than sideways. That way the computer isn't sticking against the wall. The Azulle Access Plus runs Windows 10 Home Edition, though I upgraded it with the new Creators update, and it has an Intel Atom quad-core processor clocked at 1.44 GHz that can boost up to 1.84 GHz. And as expected, it features Intel HD graphics built in right into the computer. You can also configure it with either 2GB of RAM or 4GB of RAM, though if you're going to be using this for gaming, you most likely want to go with the 4GB of RAM. As for the I/O, there's a USB 2 and a USB 3 port, a micro USB port that's used to power the device itself, an HDMI out port that's plugging into the computer monitor or the display that you're using for it, as well as a micro SD card slot for storage expansion. That's one of the biggest flaws with this computer. It only has 32GB of storage internally at maximum, 28 of which is actually usable, and half of that is already used by the operating system. So you really only have 14GB of storage to work with before you have to buy a micro SD card, a flash drive, or an external hard drive. 14GB of storage is just not a lot of space to work with video games, especially when you have to install Chrome, Steam, and a bunch of other things that general computer users will want to use. Now, as for the wireless communication options, you have built-in Wi-Fi support, Bluetooth 4.0, there's even a built-in Ethernet port into this thing, which is pretty surprising for how big the device itself is. Also, right off the bat, since this is running a full version of Windows 10, you can stream any PS4 or Xbox One game to this little computer. If you have a PS4, you can use Sony's Windows Remote Play application to stream full-on PS4 games from your console to this little PC stick. That means you can play games like Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Uncharted 4 all via streaming. The computer has two USB ports too, so with the help of a USB hub, you can plug in a wired mouse, computer, and a controller like a DualShock 4. Now the same thing goes for Xbox One. The native Windows 10 Xbox application not only lets you interact with your friends on Xbox Live, but you can also stream your Xbox One over to your PC just like the PS4. This means that you're able to stream games like Halo 5, Sunset Overdrive, Gears of War 4, and the entire Rare Replay collection to your computer, despite it being weaker than the console itself. Actually, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that before filming this video you saw me testing out the computer, and I was able to stream both an Xbox One and a PS4 to it at the exact same time. Probably not the best setup, but technically possible. Now that pretty much covers game streaming. If you already have an Xbox One or a PS4, you can use this little computer as a network streamer to play all your games remotely from your PS4 or Xbox One to this computer, whether you're on the same network or if you're doing that little forwarding trick on a different network. But now let's cover the games you can actually natively play just on the computer itself. Well, Minecraft Windows 10 Edition, which is the mobile to desktop optimized version of Minecraft, runs pretty well at 1080p on the Access Plus, but of course you might need to lower some of the distance rendering on that version. I also went ahead and installed my Steam library to see what lower taxing games can actually run on the device, and here's what I found. I first tried out some sprite-based games like Duke Nukem 3D, Freedom Planet, Undertale, and the Angry Video Game Nerd 2. All ran pretty flawlessly as expected, no hiccups on any of them. With the Xbox One controller, I was gaming just like I would on any other gaming PC. I then went ahead and tried out some lower taxing 3D games as well as some higher end 2D games, and those were definitely a bit more taxing on the computer. I was able to get Skullgirls to run at 720p with some solid frame rates, and it was playable, but definitely not the best looking version of the game. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2 was able to run at 720p as well, but started to lose some frames whenever I bumped it up to anything higher than that. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which was the Dreamcast to PC port, ran pretty solid at 720p, but once at 1080p it started to lose a bit of frames. Valve's classic game Portal was playable at 720p as well, but just like Sonic Adventure 2, it started to lose a bit of frames at 1080p. Now after testing out all those games, I went to the most graphically intensive game that's in my Steam library, and surprisingly, Honey Pop ran really well on the Access Plus. That game is graphically intensive in other ways. The Azulle Access Plus is a nifty little device that's pretty good for things like on-the-go word processing, media streaming, desktop internet browsing, or even non-intensive games on a small computer, and it's actually a pretty good combination to go with the PS4 or an Xbox One. While it's never going to replace a dedicated console or gaming PC anytime soon, it's still a really useful device to own in the house, or especially if you're a traveler and you want to play some games or get some work done. One of the best features of this device is that if you have a PS4 or an Xbox One in a house where you have multiple monitors or rooms, you don't have to move your console setup from room to room or even a giant desktop if you already own one, just to stream your console games. The Access Plus only weighs about 0.3 pounds and is only 5.5 inches long with 2.36 inches wide, and it's much more portable than a console or the average computer. If you'd like to pick up your own little Azulle Access Plus, I'll have a link in the description down below. I think it's a really useful device, though I wish the storage internally was a bit larger, and the fact that the device itself is pretty long despite it being pocketable may hurt your setup if you have an HDMI port directly behind your TV monitor or display. Though the fact that they add an HDMI extender is pretty useful and it comes in handy. As always, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like and subscribe for more video game content just like this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.